each of you here, and we have lots to share about the topic and our company. Again, thank you for joining. I am Sarah Lind, and I'm one of the presenters today. First, I want to mention some brief technical reminders. All of the attendees today are in listen-only mode automatically while joining Zoom. So your audio and your video are turned off. That is so that everyone can focus on the presentation slides. You can also just listen in even if you cannot see the slides. We do have closed captioning available today. If you would like to turn this feature on, you can go to your Zoom toolbar, click the Show Captions CC button. Again, that is click the Show Caption CC button. And if you decide later that you would like to turn off the closed captioning, you can click that button, the Closed Caption CC button on the Zoom toolbar, and that will turn this feature off. So we hope that that helps people. Let me tell you a little bit about our company, My Employment Options, which we call ourselves MEO for short. My Employment Options is an authorized employment network in Social Security's Ticket to Work program. We provide free, that is, there's no cost for our employment services for assistance with work at home and local community jobs. Our company provides free services for job seekers who are 18 to 64 years old, who are receiving SSDI or SSI benefits, and we provide services across the 48 continental states as well as Washington, D.C. Our events are open to the public and to our clients as well. If you're not on SSDI or SSI, that's okay. The tips that we have to share can help any job seeker to get hired. Our company has over 20 years of expertise in helping job seekers. We have long-standing partnerships with both work at home and community employers. When people come on board as our clients, they are assigned a personal employment counselor who works with them one-on-one. We also have a certified benefits counselor specialist on our staff to help our clients with benefits-related questions. Many of our own staff are participants in the Ticket to Work program, so have that personal experience. And speaking of personal, we practice the personal touch, and we're known for that and being very responsive with our clients. Again, our presentation today is resumes that get you hired. And on our next slide, I'll tell you more about the topics that we will be covering. So our topics include how resumes open doors to an interview, resume trends, what's new in 2024, how to create a work-at-home resume to apply for jobs working remotely, and how to create a community job resume, as well as helps with gaps in employment and tips for people who are making changes in their career. My co-presenter, Tina Gagne, is a community employment counselor with Employment Options since 2022. She assists clients in finding positions in their community. Tina is passionate about helping others with disabilities and sharing her hope and experience with the Ticket to Work program. I am a senior, I'm Sarah Lind again. I am a senior community employment counselor at My Employment Options. I'm dedicated to helping our clients find good job matches in their local communities and then advancing in their careers. I've been with Employment Options for more than 13 years. That's my lucky number as of this year. So to start off with, we talked, our topic today, our mission is to help you get hired. So the purpose of your resume is to land you an interview, and yes, that's how you'll get hired. Your resume does this by giving employers information that's relevant about your skills, accomplishments, and experience. It needs to demonstrate, and we'll show you how, that you're a great candidate for the position that you are applying for. So what's new in the trends? Artificial intelligence has quickly become the go-to tool for writing a variety of things, including marketing content, blogs, and yes, resumes. It's amazing how well this tool can work. However, it does not replace human abilities and the personal touch. So if you use this tool, be sure to look over your resume to make sure it represents you well and really, provides the information that you want in a manner in which you want. You need to carefully review your resume and that an AI resume builder has made and make changes and corrections as needed. Now, some of the benefits is that many websites with a resume builder do use some form of AI. Customizing your resumes for specific positions is very important, and using AI can speed up that process. Also, there are AI tools that can merge your resume with a job posting and create a cover letter for you. So that's a very good tool for you when you're applying for jobs. Another trend is digital resumes. And that is a resume that can be accessed online, either by those who you provide access to or publicly on some platforms. Some of those platforms include LinkedIn, personal websites, and there's online portfolios as well. And when you're using a digital resume, it's easy to have multiple different versions for various positions. Look for specialized digital resume builders, and we have some resource slides later on in the presentation, so stay tuned, and we'll share links to those slides, to those sites that have great information and tips as well. One trend that has really increased in emphasis is using your resume to highlight your skills and achievements. That will demonstrate to the employer the value that you bring to them. Starting with the first section of your resume, your summary, will focus on relevant skills and achievements. And also to highlight measurable achievements is important. That's really gained in importance. And we'll show you how to do that and quantify your achievements rather than just listing previous job responsibilities on your resume.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to start with reviewing resume formatting tips. People often ask about the functional and chronological resume formats. They both have their uses, and I'll explain what they are. A chronological format shows the job that you held, how long, and the responsibilities in chronological order, starting with your experience or work history, with most of your recent job or current job, then going back from there. On the other hand, the functional resume has less emphasis on your work history and instead highlights your skills, spot, and center. Functional is good for someone who does not have a lot of work history, but has a lot of skills. And what do employers say about chronological rather than the functional resume? Well, the vote is in. We've done research, and all information in this presentation, surveys have said chronological format is preferred by employers, and some recruiters greatly dislike the functional format. So the examples we're going to show you today are from chronological format. Your resume content is the most important. You want to highlight your knowledge, skills, and abilities that make you a great candidate. You also want your resume to be well organized. Employers may end up tossing your resume in the trash if it's cluttered and difficult to read. On average, employers spend only about 7 seconds to initially scan a resume. We have some great tips coming up to help you set up your resume. Typical work-from-home recruiters look for a one-page resume. So keeping your resume short and sweet using pertinent information should help you reach that goal. For higher level positions, a 2-page resume may not be needed. The automatic tracking system, also known as ATS, will scan a resume and can detect longer resumes. So our goal is to make your resume as easy on the eyes as possible, so streamline your resume if it is longer than 2 pages. Now we're going to go over font size and format. The font size on your resume should be set at 10 to 12 points. Anything similar than 10 makes reading very difficult. On the other hand, you don't want to have a font that is too large, as it will take up valuable space on your resume. The only exception to use a larger font size is for the name in the header, but no more than 16-point size. Margins usually default to 1 inch, which can be changed to keep your resume to 1 page, but less than ½ inch looks cramped. Continuing on with formatting tips. Use fonts like Calibri and Arial. Calibri is the default on many programs. You'll also want to use the same font throughout your resume and use the black font color. You can also use Control key plus the A key to highlight the entire document to make changes throughout. For your section headings, use capitals and bold font. That will make it stand out. Those section headings include your skills, experience, education section. Use bullets to highlight skills, job responsibilities, and accomplishments. To keep your resume decluttered, you don't need to underline the headings or have a colon, because that adds clutter. Align the heading sections on the left margin. The reason for doing this is because people read from left to right. So if your section headers are centered, they break up the reading flow. Keep your headings and bullet points neat and organized. This is very important for a successful resume. You're going to use bullet points to highlight your skills, job responsibilities, and accomplishments. Bullets draw attention to what's the most relevant and important information, so don't overdo the bullets.
Okay, for resume building blocks, the very first thing that you want front and center, or perhaps on the left margin, depending on your preference, is your contact information, starting with your name. And it's okay to go ahead and have your name in all capital letters and bold, and even a point size or 2 larger than the rest of your resume. That helps it stand out and gets noticed. You may notice that we have left off the street address, and it's okay to do that. Just show the city and state. Employers do want to see that in most cases, particularly for work at home. And leaving off your street address does eliminate security concerns about your personal information. So we have an example near the end of our presentation, and here's how to get started. Now, your email address is very important. It's typically the way that the employer will reach out and contact you these days. So we've got some do's and don'ts on the next slide. It's best to set up a separate email for employment. Having one email designated for employment purposes will help ensure that you're not overlooking any communications from the employers, such as a job interview invite or a job offer. Sometimes job offers have a limited time and you don't want that to expire. So be sure to check your emails on a regular basis too. Surveys have shown that the best email to use on your resume is Gmail. It's viewed as more professional and tech-savvy than Yahoo, AOL, or Hotmail. One thing I'd like to mention, well, there is the consensus among the surveys that we've done, our research, that there are always exceptions to this. So we're going to give you the best practices and the best accepted practices that we have found out there. So that's good to know. One thing that you want to avoid is having an inappropriate email address. such as rocker chick or something like that. You always want to present yourself professionally. Now, here's some phone do's and don'ts. You want to make sure that your phone number is correct, even if it means calling yourself using the phone number that you've typed in and showing on your resume. As far as a phone message, and we'll go ahead and cover that here, even though it's not part of your resume per se, but you want to make sure that your phone message is professional and not to have one that sounds like your child recorded the message or has inappropriate music or anything like that. People often forget to update their voice messages. You can always change it back once you get hired. A question that, and this is not something new, but it's good to know, whether or not a resume needs an objective. And the surveys have shown, and the career experts agree, that having an objective is no longer essential for your resume, that it's unnecessary and, yes, outdated. So what to do instead? For most types of resumes, you will use a summary that introduces you to the employer. And we'll tell you a little bit more about how to do that. Your summary is a statement of sentences, 3 to 4, that highlight your experience and your qualifications. This is the major part of your resume also that you would change up for different types of positions. You want to craft your summary so that it captures the employer's attention and aligns you as a great candidate for the position that you're applying for. And yes, we're going to teach you how. One thing, too, is to make sure that your summary focuses on the employer's needs. The little graphic in there, blah, blah, blah. People used to use an objective and still sometimes might include wording such as looking for a challenging position with lots of growth potential, etc. Well, that's not going to get the employer's attention. It won't appeal to them. Also, you want to make sure that your summary is not too wordy. So just like I said, about 3 to 5 sentences will do that. We'll take care of that. Here's an example of a summary. It is a section heading, and so you would want to have that in all capital letters and bold before you start your introduction of yourself to the employer. And here's a great example: self-motivated and results-oriented customer service professional with 5 years experience enhancing client relationships. Increased customer retention by 33% through collaborative service delivery and problem resolution. Improved sales by 25% through consultative strategies. You'll notice, since these are complete sentences, good grammar and punctuation, such as periods, are used. Also notice how the person's experience is emphasized along with accomplishments that have been quantified by numbers, in this case, percentages.
Now let me go over skills and qualifications. We recommend you use at least 4 bullet points that match the type of job you're applying for. For example, if the job description is requiring typing at a minimum of 40 words per minute, you add ability to type 40 words per minute within your skill set. And remember to use descriptive words to catch the employer's attention. Here's an example of bullet points with descriptive words in the skills and qualifications section. As you see here, the first word is the descriptive word. Excellent communication skills, outstanding complaint resolution, high volume call center experience, and accurate typing skills, 40 words per minute. For the employment experience section, you want to lead with your job title to emphasize experience. Placing dates to the right, but not to the right margin, makes them less prominent, especially if there are gaps. Recruiters are mainly interested in recent work history, generally nothing over 50 years old, because it becomes too long or may invite age discrimination. Work from home resumes, especially, must have relevant customer survey experience, even for an entry-level position. Work-from-home employers require a minimum of 6 months to a year of any type of customer service. Now moving on to employment experience. In the experience section, be sure to list between 3 to 5 job duties, responsibilities, or achievements under each employer. Include the most relevant experience that is needed for a position you're applying for. If you add too many bullets, the information that is not helpful, your resume will become too cluttered. And remember to keep your resume streamlined.
While you're listing your achievements, you can use italics to highlight them in your resume in those bullet points. And again, use numbers whenever possible to quantify accomplishments, including quotas, exceeding quotas, increasing sales, saving money, and staying on budget. Also, use numbers to show how many people you've supervised if you were a team leader at any type of level of management. Also, if you managed a budget, show how large that budget was or how large the payroll was that you processed. And on the next slide, we'll show some examples. So here's an example under the employment experience section, which you can actually just put experience, and employers can relate to that. Sometimes people use work history as well. So this person was a payroll specialist, and the company name is listed as well as their dates of employment. And it shows both their responsibilities as well as an achievement: process payroll for over 200 employees, streamline payroll processes, which reduce costs 40%. Now you'll notice the employment information is on 2 lines, and that is because if it doesn't fit across the page on 1 line, as we showed in an earlier example, this is one way to do it. And lead with your job title. Again, it demonstrates to the employer what you did, and they can see that at a glance, even if they're not familiar with the company that you work for. Now, what if you had 2 positions with the same company? I've seen oftentimes where people would list them out separately, even though it was continuous employment with one company. So this is usually the only reason to put the company name first. And we're going to show you on the next slide an example of how to do that. This eliminates a job hopper image by having both of the positions with the same company listed right together. So the person started off with XYZ Corporation as a customer service representative, and then had been promoted to an account manager. Yes, that's an accomplishment, in just 6 months. And it shows the total dates of employment there rather than the number of years, but that can be shown as well alongside each of the job titles if it's relevant to show how many years of experience on each position. So what if the case is that you have relevant experience, and it's the most relevant experience for the identified jobs, and it's more than 10 years ago? You can add a section, prior relevant experience, and summarize your experience without the dates, but show the total number of years experience. And the reason to show the years of experience rather than the dates is you don't want there to be like a gap in employment. And we've got an example of how to do this in one of our full resume examples, so stay tuned.
So here are some tips when composing your education section. Use trainings or certifications that are related to jobs that you're applying for. For example, if you are applying for a medical assistant job, you really do not need to add your completed real estate program to the resume. Typically, a high school diploma is listed if it's a requirement for the job or in lieu of an advanced education or training. Remember to not list the year you graduated from high school. Here is an example of a person who is still attending college. So if you're still working on a college degree, show when you expect to receive it. As you can see, the date is in parentheses. University of Phoenix, project graduation, May 2024. Keep in mind, generally dates are not used in the education section, only with the exception of an upcoming graduation. As mentioned before, you do not want to include any current applicable or certifications. Former licenses or certifications are okay to use on a resume, since it would just emphasize your experience within the field. Be mindful that there is a huge difference between receiving a certificate from completing a training or earning a certification from an educational program. You need to make sure you are labeling your distinctions accurately and not misrepresenting yourself in any way. So we touched a little bit earlier on the ATS, and I also want to share some more information. Most resumes aren't initially seen by human eyes. Research shows that over 90% of businesses use automated tracking systems to track, organize, and vet qualified applicants. In regards to the resume, the ATS looks for keywords and phrases on your resume that match the job description that you applied for. First, your resume will go through the ATS. If the ATS selects your resume, the next step in the hiring process then would be for a recruiter to review it and look it over. Do you know the ATS cannot read your contact information? The header is the section above the body and is considered outside the normal margins. The job posting is where you'll locate the keywords. At the end of this presentation, there is an example of a job posting to demonstrate identifying keywords in an example resume with corresponding keywords. Work-from-home employers are looking for well-rounded candidates with a mix of skill sets, so you need a resume that gets you noticed. These skill sets typically fall into 3 categories: soft, hard, and transferable skills. Here are examples of those skills. Soft skills reflect your work performance and character traits. Hard skills are technical skills you can learn or pick up through practice, training, and experience. Transferable skills move with you as you advance to new positions, employers, or even different career paths.
Now we have some important general tips for your resume. Again, you want to keep your resume streamlined, and so eliminating clutter will do that. Removing unnecessary information or outdated information. And some examples of this are references available upon request. Employers know this, and yes, they will request them if they want them. Sometimes people will label their phone number or their email, and that is certainly not necessary, as employers can figure that out just by looking at, yes, that's a phone number, and yes, that's an email address. Remember, again, employers spend approximately, when your resume does get seen by human eyes, approximately 7, maybe up to 10 seconds glancing at it initially to determine if you're a good fit. So make every second count. Another way, we talked about minimizing the job hopper image. And another way to do this is to take, if you had several short-term, temporary, or seasonal jobs, combine them into one employment section. Also, if you had a short-term job, don't discount it. If you acquired important skills or experience, again, work-from-home employers are looking for approximately 6 months experience, yet any type of customer service experience is accepted by many of the work-from-home employers for remote jobs. If a job was seasonal, it may be a good idea to show that next to the job title so employers will see at a glance and understand why it was a short-term job. Here is a real-life example. One of my clients had several hospitality positions. Some were seasonal, some just wound up being short-term. Perhaps they weren't a good match. But she did pick up some wonderful skills, including customer service, working on computer databases and things like that, working with other staff to coordinate. So she's got the hard skills and the soft skills here. She had great computer skills, and she was able to parlay this experience with a great resume. Now, this is only one section of it. And she got hired, she made one stepping stone and then got hired into a great help desk position, which was her goal. And it was a much better paying job. As I mentioned earlier, different resumes may be needed for various positions. And the two most important sections of your resume that you would change up is your summary section and your skills section that will demonstrate your abilities and your experience for those identified positions that you want to apply for. And remember to use keywords from the job posting for those positions that you have identified. And we've got some examples coming up in just a bit. So on your resume, when you're showing your employment experience, only your present job, if you're currently working, is written in present tense. And remember to change that when your job ends. And so some examples are answer phones and assist customers, accurately enter customer orders. When you're talking about and describing your previous work experience, you do that in past tense, such as resolved billing issues efficiently, maintained accurate client databases. In your resume, you want to spell out acronyms instead of having like an alphabet soup. Also pay attention when you're using words that may be unfamiliar to an employer. So you want to avoid slang or jargon. Identify the types of software that you've used so employers can kind of make sense of that, especially if you're applying for something in a different field, but you want to show the experience that you gained in your previous employment. So this person ensured compliance with HIPAA, and that's something legal that's very important. Various types of legal compliance are important in different types of positions. And we've spelled out what HIPAA means here. And you always want to make sure that that's accurate. Even look it up if you need to, so that it's spelled accurately and spelled out accurately. Under the computer skills, list all the experiences, the programs that you have experience with, and in the medical field, Epic EMR, electronic medical records. And this type of program is similar to, and one of those transferable skills, to programs that are used in other types of businesses as well. If you are an individual with a disability, do not disclose your disability on your resume. The Americans with Disabilities Act puts the law on your side. You do not have to disclose your disability when you're applying for a job. There are some reasons to do that, and be sure to stay tuned for some of our coming up webinars that will talk about applying for jobs. But with your resume, that's not the place to include that type of personal information, nor do you want to include your age or your marital status. When people become a client with employment options, we'll provide you with support and further information on how to protect yourself from discrimination. People make judgments. It's unfortunate but true. You want the employer to focus on what you can do for them, what your experience is, and your value to them, rather than anything related to your disability.
I'd like now to discuss gaps in employment. Resume gaps are really common, especially for those who have a disability. They don't carry the same stigma they used to, but hiring managers do want to know what you've been up to. So you should address any gaps in employment if you've been out of a job for about over a year. So here are a few examples on how to address those gaps. Ask yourself, have you spent time volunteering as a homemaker, helping with a family business, or caring for a family member. Also, internships, apprenticeships, and taking classes are all good examples on how to demonstrate how you spent your time and the value you bring to the position. Employment counselors with My Employment Options do a great job helping clients filling in those gaps on their resume. Here's an example of a household manager. On this slide, we're using the example of homemaker. We use the job title household manager between the years of 2019 and 2024. These bullets show skills in project management, time management, and independence. Notice only the years 2019 to 2024 are used to help eliminate gaps in time.
The majority of employers count volunteer and internship experience, and Tina gave some great examples of how you can show experience even if it wasn't a form of paid employment. The federal government definitely credits relevant unpaid experience, and so you definitely want to show that on your resume. There's no need to show that it was unpaid work, and there's various ways to show this type of experience, and we've got some examples coming up. So I had a client who had done her internship as a medical researcher and worked for a large hospital medical center. Now, we did show intern on her resume to demonstrate why it was a short-term position. And if it was seasonal, that's where you would show something like that as well to let the employer know, hey, it wasn't just a job hopping experience. And shows the knowledge and skills that this person gained during their internship, which can parlay into a great job. Now, for career changes, use your resume to emphasize skills, abilities, and education that you've gained that you will utilize in your new career. You want to do your research and learn the language of your new career field. Find ways to include keywords that are relevant to that field in your resume. Identify your own skills that are going to be transferable to new types of jobs. And that's where some of the new technology and these resume building programs and websites that we're going to show you some links to coming up can really be helpful. When you're putting together your resume, always put your strongest points first in your skills section and things like that. So here's an example of a transferable skill, and it's just one example. A person who has been a restaurant server will have experience in customer service, problem solving, and possibly even sales. So someone who has worked in a restaurant, even McDonald's, they can show that they provided prompt, attentive service, that they've resolved issues with orders, as well as upselling additional menu items, such as, would you like to make that a combo? Would you like fries with that? This is an important skill that's needed for customer service representatives with cable or internet companies that offer bundles, for example.
Using job description keywords. Here I've underlined some examples of keywords within a job description and the requirements needed for that position. This position is for a remote customer service representative. Always read through the job description to find the key words and phrases. So for example, if the job states 1+ years of remote call center service experience, if you have at least 1 year of experience, be sure to include the number of years on your resume. This is an example of a work from home resume, Ms. Sally Smith. Ms. Sally Smith has 4 years of experience in customer service, which she demonstrates in the opening of her summary. The posting she's applying for, the remote customer service representative from the previous 5, requires at least 1 year of customer service experience. The summary also addresses other requirements from the posting using keywords such as problem solving, communication skills, and resolving customer issues. Please note the resumes on the slides appear smaller than they really look. The resumes are 11-point font. While they're set up on 2 slides, they are actually only 1-page resumes.
And with some minor changes, we do like to use examples, real life examples. And so we have to change the names and things like that to protect our clients' confidentiality. One thing that's important to keep in mind here on this community employment resume, Nancy Jones is showing 5+ years of comprehensive office experience. You want to make sure that the number of years experience that you're showing in your summary section, that it matches up with the number of years that you're showing on your resume. So if you've dropped off a job because it was way back in your past, you don't want to include that in the number of years of experience. So hopefully you're going to have enough to demonstrate to the employer or show under prior relevant experience if needed. And you notice the emphasis here in the summary and skills section, which have been combined into one section, and that can actually help save space on your resume if there's a lot of information that you need or want to include otherwise. And on the next slide, we're going to show what that other experience is. My client, we had identified a job with a large hospital medical center, and they were looking for experience working in a hospital. She had that experience, but it was prior to the last job that we were going to show on her resume. So we added a section for that and showed the number of years. And guess what? She is now gainfully employed in a hospital medical center. Yes. So we're always happy to share some of our success stories and how resumes can help you to get hired. And we've got some more tips coming up. Stay tuned.
Before we get to your questions and answers, we've shared some helpful links. Please note that we do not endorse these sites, that they may be good examples and could be helpful to you. Here we've listed links on how to create a digital resume and 2 AI resume builders. The next 2 links provide further information on how to make an ATS-friendly resume and how to use resume keywords. Before we get to the Q&A portion, we want to share how you can apply with us. If you receive SSDI or SSI, please visit our new website, myemploymentoptions.com, and click on the large yellow Apply Now button and fill out an application. Our new website has new content, easier navigation, and accessibility. There are lists of job opportunities and our new MEO blog. When you become a client with us, you're assigned an employment counselor, and you'll receive personalized services that include resume creation and customization, job search assistance, interview preparation, and benefits counseling. If you're already a client of MEOs and have questions about the webinar, please reach out to your counselor. If you have other questions about job resources or anything else, please email Lori Adler at aadler@myemploymentoptions.com. For the job seekers who may not be on SSDI or SSI, we also wanted to make you aware about one of our other divisions, MEO Staffing. MEO Staffing is our diversity division and is a full-service staffing agency that provides comprehensive nationwide job counseling and retention services. MEO Staffing also partners with national employers to help hire a more diverse workforce and are seeking new employment partnerships. You can learn more at meostaffing.com. We would love to connect with you on social media. You can connect with us all over on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We share about free events, hot jobs, industry news, tips, and more. Also, if you know someone who might benefit from our services, please share any of our links or social media with them. And now for a few questions that you submitted that were not answered in our presentation. Laura asks, what if my knowledge is archaic, old version tech? Well, Laura, if you know Windows 10, but the current version is Windows 11, just write Windows. On your resume, highlight your transferable skills. Instead of writing quick learner, write ability to quickly learn new programs and processes. In the meantime, utilize the free resources you can find online and your community to upgrade your tech skills. Ava asks, what do you do if you cannot afford AI to customize every job you apply for and still get an interview? Well, Ava, on our resource pages, there are links to sites with at least one free AI resume builder. So this comes to the end of my portion of the webinar. I wanted to thank everyone for attending and hope you find these tips and resources helpful. And I'd especially like to thank Sarah for being an amazing co-facilitator and everyone behind the services. And now on to more question and answers.
Thank you, Tina. We've just have a wonderful team here, and you know, things that you thought of that I hadn't thought of, and we just made sure to do our best to get the most current information and the most comprehensive information to help people with resumes. There's a lot of great information out there and some that maybe not so great. So sifting through all that to bring you some resources and information that would be most helpful. And so we've got a couple more Q&As and some more information, so stay with us. Isabel had asked about entering into the job market after being laid off with all new technology of ChatGPT, etc. ChatGPT is one of the most well-known AI writing technologies, and learning AI technology like ChatGPT is critical in today's job market. So candidates such as yourself, Isabel, need to showcase their ability to utilize AI tools. And you can search you can Google that. There's tutorials on various sites and YouTube, and just kind of look through them. You can tell some were made by, everybody wants to be a YouTuber these days, and some are perhaps amateurish. So find ones that really seem a little bit, you know, on the upper technology level. And once you learn these new skills, be sure to include them on your resume. Althea wants to know, how can I better leverage my LinkedIn page within my resume? Well, Althea, actually your LinkedIn profile is a resume. It's considered a digital resume, which we talked about earlier. You can include a link to your profile on your Microsoft Word resume. Be sure to use the tips that we've mentioned to boost your Microsoft Word resume as well as your LinkedIn profile, and they should match up. You don't want a lot of differences between the two. LinkedIn has some great features to show your skills and things like that, and even you can get endorsements from others. LinkedIn themselves has helpful tutorials so that you can improve your profile and get noticed by employers. Yes, employers look on there, and I've had a number of clients get contacted by having their profile on LinkedIn. So thank you for attending our resume webinar today. Remember, and we want to wish everyone the best in getting a job offer. Remember, we have free services for job seekers who receive SSDI or SSI benefits through Social Security. One thing I want to mention is this came up, we were at a job fair yesterday and people were with another provider. Don't hesitate to apply with us and we can help you transfer over to our services if you're not getting the services and not getting the results that you'd like. So again, we're very responsive. We also have free services for job seekers not on SSDI or SSI. And for any questions, feel free to email Lori Adler on our staff, ladler@myemploymentoptions.com. Thank you, and again, best wishes to everyone. Have a great day.